Hello, hello, and welcome to the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. I'm your host, Karen Yankovich, and I am excited to have a guest today who's got some really cool stories to share with us. Sara Vezensek is here with me today, and she is somebody who walked away from a life most people would dream of. She grew up in Slovenia, a place where the luxury yacht world wasn't even something people believed was real outside of movies. I think that's here in the US too, by the way. But by her 20s, she was living it, working as a private chef on super yachts, flying private, managing $1 million deals and earning 10K a month. From the outside, it looked like a dream, but on the inside, she felt trapped, consistently on call, and completely disconnected from her own freedom and purpose. And now she's an online business coach and mentor who helps ambitious women turn their lived experience into profitable, freedom-based businesses. That is what we're all about here, right? You come to the space with so much expertise. Let's use that and build a business from that. She's known for helping her clients package their brilliance into high impact offers, shift their money mindset, and finally stop trading time for money. She's bold, real, passionate about showing women how to build a business that actually supports the life they want. I mean, I feel like I'm going to bring Sara on here now, but Sara, I feel like I could probably put my name into a lot of the things on that bio, except for the private chef on a super yacht piece. But so much of what you do is exactly what the conversations are we have around here, which is why I was so excited to have you here.
And I'm so honored to be here because honestly, I heard a podcast and I was like, this would be such a perfect fit. And I feel like we can create such a powerful episode together and pack it with so much juicy, amazing informations for
I
your
love that.
listeners.
I love that. I'm excited. So let's start, take you kind of back to the beginning, right? It takes courage to walk away from a secure income. I did the same thing, and it takes courage. And, it was nothing like I thought it was going to be. And, here I am. So tell us a little bit about your story. What made you make that change to go out on your own when you had that luxury lifestyle?
Mm. I think the big part of it was the fact that I started realizing that I'm not happy. That was the
Mm,
first one because everybody was like, oh my God, you have such an amazing job. And I would just kind of start lying or not lying. I would not describe it as amazing as it was because
right.
I lived it and I knew that I was living at work. I was, with my bosses constantly. So I couldn't really just go wherever I wanted, even though they were the nicest people ever. That doesn't matter when you live with your boss, when you live at your job where you have absolutely
Right.
no freedom or personal space. And when I started at 23, that was great. I was living the dream, traveling around, doing all these things, and I was mentally challenged. But when the challenges just kind of became like an everyday thing, it was the same repetition. I outgrew my job and I just realized I can do so much more. But I was comfortable. So I
Right.
actually, right, I actually realized that 2 years before I went out of it. So for 2 years, I already knew that this is not for me, but great salary. I was also, I'm from Europe, so I didn't even have to pay US taxes because my company's in Slovenia. We were, traveling the world. And I'm like, damn, I'm not happy, but what else am I going to do? Right. This is the pinnacle of
Right.
all there is.
Right.
And I did it a different way than most people would. I kind of started stepping away a little bit from the job. And every time I'm not happy, I start developing my plan B before my plan A goes away, which I think is
Sarah,
why
I
I've
did
been
the
so
same
successful.
thing. I had an app on my phone, a countdown app, and I think it was 3 years. I just had a countdown app that said, in 3 years, I'm leaving this job. I think I did it in half of the amount of time that my countdown app
Amazing.
requested, but it was the same thing. I couldn't just walk away, but I needed that countdown app. To me was like my lifeline, I guess,
Hmm.
to knowing that I was going to be doing something different and in my mind, something better.
Yeah. And it's very important, right? That because when you have that lifeline or whatever you want to call it, for me, it was like, okay, this is not where you stay forever. And just knowing that was like, okay, so I'll still do my best. I'll still do my job, but I'm mentally already looking for the next opportunity, looking for my exit strategy. So then if it does all come crashing down or if it doesn't work out or whatever happens, I'm already like, okay, I wasn't wanting this to work out regardless because I'm on to the next step. But the
Right.
moment that it happened, it was actually a surprise because the clients were like, "Hey, we want to talk." And I'm like, "Oh God, this is happening. I'm truly just manifesting this. And they offered me a different position, but in that moment, I had to be like, you know what? Like, this is not for you. This position is not going to change anything. You're still going to be unhappy. So it's time to politely say no and dive off a cliff and, grow wings as you're free falling.
Right.
And it is so scary. Like, it is really scary. And I feel like a lot of
Yes.
people don't do it because of that, because we love to control things, number one,
Mhm.
and we love to, know that there's a guarantee, which in reality, there is a guarantee. The only way that you're not successful is if you, choose to not continue on the path. So basically, if you
Right.
give up.
Right. Because even if what you're doing right now doesn't work, as an entrepreneur, we get to just shift that. Right. Okay. Well, that's not
Exactly.
working. So what can I shift until it's working? Versus if you have a paycheck job, you can get fired. And there is, like, I almost feel like being an entrepreneur gives you more job security because
Yeah.
you're building the skills to support yourself and your family and your loved ones or whatever that looks like for you. Whereas if you're dependent on somebody else for your paycheck, you don't have that same confidence.
Exactly. And that paycheck that seems so safe, even for me, I was with them for 5+ years. And because I said no, that paycheck was taken away in a second. Like,
Right.
that paycheck can disappear. So yes, you
Yes.
think in a sense that you're secure, but as an entrepreneur, you're choosing a different heart, right? It's a lot of personal growth. It's a lot of finding your own way, finding your own voice of who you are, what your business is, and kind of stepping into a leadership role versus like a captain below the boss, right? Because if you
Right.
work for other people, you feel like you're the
Right.
leader, even if you're top positions, there's always someone above you. And as entrepreneur, everything is on you. So you have to really know how to like hold all of that and not give up at the first obstacle, right? Because they're never failures, they're obstacles, and you can just drive
Right.
around that or find a different path.
Right. So I want to I want to go backwards again though, because
Hmm.
in my world, when I did that, I worked for a company that didn't really care what I did on my free time. It didn't care that they saw that I was building a brand. They saw that I was speaking at events and things like that. And they didn't look at it as, okay, Karen's we're going to fire her because she's doing something else. But not everybody has that same luxury, right? There's a lot of people that have to build those 2 years or that year or whatever, 3 years. How are you building that brand when you aren't working for a company that doesn't care if you're being visible about something else? Because I think we had a little bit of a conversation before we started
Yeah.
recording that you did not have that same situation.
No, I knew that because my clients, when you work with the 1%, they do not want to know that your time and your attention is going anywhere else, even though you're technically supposed to work 8 hours and there's many more hours in a day.
Right.
But I knew that if I started doing that like publicly right away, I will be fired in a second. Like, so I knew that I couldn't do it that way. And a lot of people have that. Now, what I did, what worked for me was I actually created a secret Instagram account where I had
Okay.
to block 2,500 people. And that was
You
a
blocked
task.
2,500 people?
Yes, because I was
Wow.
like, I cannot have anybody
Right.
see this, but there's a way
Wow.
bigger market out there.
Mhm. Of course.
Also,
Of course.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
stumbling, right? Like, I had no idea in the beginning, like 2.5 years ago, how to market myself online. Like, I knew how to post and take a picture, but there's a whole strategy of selling and all of that. And I was also testing if this business works because I'm not about to leave my comfortable job and just say, like, F it to something that a lot of people with
Right.
online business still might think that it's a little too good to be true. So I was like, I gotta test it out, right? And there's a
Right.
lot of a lot of beautiful things that you can do, but there's also a lot of people that, it's a gray area. They could scam you, they can, promise you everything and beyond, and it's not really that. So I was like, okay, I get to do it my own way. I get to do it like with, integrity, and I get to learn this without being fired. So then once I do step away, I have all the skills, I already have the thing ready to go. So that was
Right.
my way. But it's tough, right? Because I was living at my job. So I had to get up at 5 a.m., record the videos. There's actually videos of me on the yacht in the gym hiding, and you can just see like people walking behind me. And I'm just like, but there was just something in me that was telling me, you gotta do this. And it felt
Mhm.
right. And I was always, always brave enough to follow my heart, even when it didn't make like logical sense.
So, okay. So what did you do? What kinds of things did you learn? You went into coaching, but what made you tell us a little bit about the kind of coaching that you do and what made you
Mhm.
choose that particular coaching path?
So I always been a mentor to women, and I was usually the youngest one of them and mentoring them because I started my life and career at 13. So at 13, I worked in a wine bar and, in Slovenia in the back, rolling cutlery, squeezing orange juice, whatever that was. And then came into yachting and then managing yachts. So my past was always inspiring to other women because they were like, oh, but you're just like us, right? You didn't have money, you didn't have connections. So can you teach us? Can you coach me in a sense more like a friend? And I was
Right.
like, wait, I could actually make a business out of that. Like I could be like a consultant or I could
Yep.
be, sharing my knowledge, but I never started a company because I was like, well, I don't want to have an office. Like I want to travel the
Right.
world. I don't want to be a balding, white male entrepreneur with a fancy car. Like that's not what I feel like a
Right.
business, is, but that was my example in Slovenia. They were all guys. So what I did was let me package my knowledge and let me package it where I don't have to just work with people one on one. I can actually create a course where thousands of people can learn from me at the same
Mhm.
time. And I can still have my freedom and my integrity and provide like massive impact for anybody who wants to come into my world that maybe can't afford like a one on one with me.
I love that. I love that. So what do you say to the women that are thinking, I'm not like I don't know. I'm not expert enough to teach anything, right? I don't
Mhm,
know what I'm doing. How I mean, I have an opinion on that, of course, but I want to hear what
mhm.
you think about that because I think a lot of women do think that, I know how to do this,
Yes.
but that doesn't mean anybody's going to pay for it.
I would say first this that you are so close to who you are and what you're doing that you don't even know what you're so brilliant at and what
Yes.
comes to you so naturally. So that would be number one. So before you even say you're not an expert, you are an expert at something. And when we say expert, I that doesn't mean that you know everything. Google knows
Hmm.
everything. No
Right.
expert in
Right.
the world knows
Right.
everything. Even Google doesn't know everything, right? But
Right.
when we say expert is like you are way more involved in this topic, way more passionate about this topic than majority of the people around you.
Right. Right.
And you have life experience. You
Hmm.
have so much that you invested in education. And this doesn't necessarily need to be your career. You could have, like for example, I studied food science and nutrition. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything that I ever did or wanted to do in my
Hmm.
life. But I was confused. I had to go to college. That's what I chose. So that's step number one. You are an expert at something. Step number two, if you're struggling, I would say go talk to someone that really knows you and ask them, like, hey, what would you say I'm good at? And it
Yeah.
could be as simple as taking photos. It could be simple as listening. It could be as simple as living a healthy lifestyle, meal prepping. Like, it doesn't need to be anything too complicated. And in there, I call it like that thing can already be your $1 million course idea. And I actually have a framework that I'm going to share with your listeners.
Yep. I want
And,
to hear
they
that.
can dive in and like figure out the exact brilliance that I already have, which is so powerful. I had people tell me that it changed their brain chemistry just going through this like little free exercise.
Well, I definitely want to hear about that. But before you tell me about that, I want to ask you a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of women that are
Mm-hmm.
looking to move. They're looking for their next chapter to look different than their last chapter,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that looks like. Sometimes it's just, I want to make more money, right? I want to keep doing the
Yeah.
same thing, but it's time to level up. And they immediately say, and I want it leveraged, so I'm going to create a course. And often they don't have an audience yet. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, I get that. And this is where this is why I'm asking you this, because my
Mm-hmm.
expertise is let me help you get a couple of big fat juicy consulting clients so that you have some money coming in so you can pay somebody to help you with the things like the sales pages for the course and building your email list and
Mm-hmm.
building some visibility so that you have an audience for a course that will support you launching a course. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
that's very that's my opinion on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know there's lots of different ways to do this, but I
Yeah.
know I just see a lot of people, they put so much time and effort into starting a course and they don't have anybody, nobody knows them yet. So
Yeah.
nobody's buying their course from what I can see. So tell me what you
Hmm.
think about what I just said.
Yes. So there's two things there, right? One is, yes, you need to be seen. But what a lot of people get it wrong is that they think, oh, I need to have thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, yes. But if you know and you actually learn how to market and really define who your ideal client is, you can have 60 followers and your videos are getting 400 views,
Right.
which is a room of 400 people. And yes, you're not going to post once and then all of a sudden you're going to have 400 people join your course. That's not the reality. But the reality of social media is that I would say it like this: have your course, or actually work with clients a little bit one-on-one if you're like completely new, right? Or do a
Mm-hmm.
beta test of a couple of people. Use social media, use Facebook, use LinkedIn, reach out to people, invite them into this beta run of your framework that you want to do because you want to perfect it, because at
Yeah.
some point you're going to take yourself away.
Mm-hmm.
So use social media to really speak, and this is very important. Think of what that person is thinking. Think of what they've tried before. Think of the problem that you're solving. Make them aware that they have a problem. Make them aware that they're doing, the opposite of what they should be doing. This is how you actually activate your people. And when you
Mm-hmm.
know how to activate your people, that's when you don't need a huge audience. I mean, I
I
have a
love that.
client that has 300 followers and she's earning 5, 6K a month as a beginner, right? Like
That's
it doesn't
awesome.
have to, yeah, it
That's
doesn't have to
awesome.
be huge,
Yeah.
but she knows how to speak to her people. So yes, you do
Perfect.
need eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but also you can meet people in person and like there's
Yes.
many ways to do it.
Yes.
Um, but you will have to get visible. And a lot of times it's not actually the problem to promote, it's the visibility blocks that we have because we just never done it before and we don't know
Right.
how to put ourselves out there.
Amen to that. That is, something that I work really hard at helping more women understand. I think what you're talking about is is something that gives women more control over their destiny. And I
Mm-hmm.
think at this point in this world that we live in, women need more control of their destiny and they need more money to be able to control their destiny. And all of these things together, if you can just because it takes courage, find the
Mm-hmm.
courage, do it scared, and step in. I think that I love seeing when these women start to have success. I'm sure you do too.
Oh my God. Honestly, people say that, your first sale or something is going to be the most exciting. And it is, don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
but the first
Hmm.
reviews and the first testimonials and the first client
Yes.
wins are the best drug in the world. Like the
100%.
best.
I completely agree. I completely agree. All right. Tell us about your $1 million course idea framework.
Okay, so what you're going to do, and again, this is also going to be done for you, you can jump into it, but basically, what I guide you through is to first list everything that you're good at. Everything that you're good at, because like we're trying to figure it out for you. So I use, specific prompts with AI that will guide you. So first of all, what are you interested in? What are you good at? What are your skill sets? And then I give you certain questions to ask and upload this document into AI, and it will do market research for you. It will show you what topics are trending right now, what type of courses are out there already and are not. And then actually at the end of it, ask you like, do you want to do videos? Would you, do you not want to be on
Awesome.
camera? Would you like do PDFs? All of that so you can create your own type of course. And at the end of it, you're going to have a fully done for you course outline. Again, this is as an example. This is for an
Hmm.
inspiration, right? Because you're still the genius behind it, but it's
Right.
such a powerful tool because AI will never be you and have your life experience. But for you to understand, like, oh my God, there's so much that I can
Yeah.
teach. That's the whole point of it. And like
Love it.
stepping into that power, and I call it claiming your like CEO word. And I called myself like a jet setting CEO. Someone can be mom CEO. Someone can be
Yes.
unicorn
Yes.
CEO. Like
Everybody
you can
has
be
a
whatever.
different version of what a great life looks like, and nobody's
Exactly.
wrong. Everybody,
Mm-mm.
that's Sarah, that's amazing. So I love that you're using AI to do this because you're right that AI can't step in as you, but sometimes it can get you out of your head, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
think you can't do things, and then all of a sudden, like it asks you questions or you ask it questions, and then it drills down a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, poof, here you go. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's perfect. And then you take that idea from there and make it your own, of course, right? But it
Exactly.
sometimes takes us, I mean, I'm a fan because I think it takes us out of our head And we need to get out of our head. We
Mm-hmm.
need to get out of our head. And then from there, we can drill down into, exactly what we're going to deliver and how we're going to deliver it. And then incorporating your own stuff, right? But it
Yes,
eliminates, it makes it a lot easier today. And,
a
we're
thousand
recording this in
percent.
2025 than certainly when we're in 2020, when we were doing this originally. Makes it a lot easier to get your
Yes.
course out there.
Oh, 1,000%. And, for those of you who are like really curious and then don't know how to do it, maybe it's very important to know that a lot of times, and this is a big mistake I see people do when they are creating a course, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they try to package their whole knowledge into one course. And
Mm-hmm.
like it took you 15 years, let's say, to get all this knowledge.
Right.
So for someone who's a beginner and is coming in, they already respect you, they already trust you. So they don't need to know everything. They need to know how to solve their specific problem. That's
I
it.
love that.
So you
I
have to
love that.
package that potent stuff. That's how
Yeah.
you get people obsessed. That's how they see results. And like take one outcome per lesson. One outcome per lesson. Otherwise, it's like, who wants to watch a 2-hour documentary on hormones?
And
I need to
it's
know
just going to confuse people. And once you start
exactly.
getting confused, you're tuning out.
Hmm.
And it's so true. So many of us we want to give everything. We want to give it all. And
Yeah.
it's if you're trying to give everything, what's going to happen is you're tuning your audience out, and now they're getting nothing. So if you really
Yeah.
want to help your audience, do what Sara's saying and be really specific in each lesson about what you're speaking about, so that your person can have a tangible result
Yes.
after each lesson, right? And you're right. Nobody's listening to 2 hour anything.
No.
I'm not. That's for sure.
Yeah. I want to add here too that like
Yeah,
whenever
please.
you're over delivering, it's usually because you think that like, oh my God, they're not getting enough. So it's like
Yeah.
coming from this lack of like, oh, I've never taught before. I'm pricing it at this price. I need to give
Mm-hmm.
more. And no, you actually have to give less, but specific information that will actually bring them to a
Yeah.
transformation.
So true. I used to have I don't do this as much now that we do have things like ChatGPT, but in a couple of years ago, when I was creating new courses, I would have like it all outlined on my wall, and I would use sticky notes for all the things I
Mm-hmm.
would want to do. And I remember I was working with a coach at one point, and I had the whole thing outlined, and she looked at it and she goes, "All right, now take away half of those sticky notes." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Take away half of them. You are giving them way too much. You're going to overwhelm them." And I remember that so clearly now, that you can make them bonuses, you can make them separate little courses, right? But
Mm-hmm.
she's like, okay, it looks amazing. Cut it in half. Like, not cut the course in half, cut the content in half.
Yeah.
And it was a shock to my system, but it worked.
Yeah.
She was right. She was right.
To keep it simple, like even to get people to understand even better, like I can tell you a story of my life and it's 3 hours long, or I can tell it in 3 minutes with the main points that you need to know. You don't need to know that
Exactly.
I slept and the ate dinner and the I went to school, right? You need to know
Right.
like the pivotal points that will get you
Right.
from how I did this and what the mindset was or what was the reaction in that situation.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, and on that same topic, let's not make this go too long so people listen to the end of it. Tell everybody where they can find more about you and how they can get your framework.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram and it's Sara Vez Coach,
We'll link
Sara.
everything. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
link it.
And on my website, there is everything's linked. Honestly, if they come to my Instagram or my website, all my frameworks are there, all the free links are there. I actually offer free discovery calls for people who are curious and would just like get a taste in my world. Beautiful communities. So yes, everything is on my website and on my Instagram, but we'll link the free dive in, get your $1 million course idea like below as well. So it's easy to find.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, tell us what's next for you. What's happening in the next few months or the next year
Oh
in
my gosh.
Sarah's
I
world?
am currently, my business is blowing up as we speak. And I am learning to hold more beautiful women coming into my world and really living what I'm teaching, which is
Mhm.
balance, which is having this freedom of waking up to sales notifications while people are seeing transformations. But it's also in more private life. I am moving to Bali, building a house,
Ooh.
left, US life behind because it just didn't make sense anymore. So slowing down, going back to nature, surfing every day while building my business. And it's incredible what happens when you go after your dreams and push through the times that are a little challenging, but you see the goal and you have that bigger why. And I think that's so important for any entrepreneur. You can't have money as your goal. It has to be a way bigger why. And that's
Yeah.
going to get you through the, hard times.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Sarah, so much, thank you so much for being here with us today. I think this is such an important conversation, especially for women that are in looking to make that transition into something different in their next chapter. You can do it. You can do it. We've got confidence in you, and we're both here to support you. If you loved this conversation, make sure you're following Sarah. Tell the world you love this conversation on your social media. Tag me, tag Sarah. We can then share it with our audiences, and that's how we all build. That's how we lift each other up, right? We can all just get more visibility for each other, and that's just such a beautiful way to grow. So I would love if you love this conversation, if you do that. And we'll be back here next week with another episode. Thanks so much for being here, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care.